So a little while ago, I made a video where I turned a tree in my backyard into a cute character. I want to do something along the same vein today. I have been gardening a whole bunch as a way to help cope with this pandemic stuff happening. Don't know if you guys have heard of it. I have been gardening a ton and growing all kinds of flowers, and today I want to turn one of my favorite flowers slash plants into another cute character. The plant I am going to be drawing today is my nightshade plant. I love her, she's beautiful. I love her cute little white flowers and the black little berries? Yeah, berries. I forgot the name for berry. I'm in love with this plant and she's one of my favorites. Quick disclaimer, she's black nightshade, not deadly nightshade, so she is poisonous, so I have to be very careful not to ingest her, but she's not like you eat this and you die poisonous like deadly nightshade is. I have named this plant Lucinda, and in my mind, I want to create something witchy. It's October, it's Halloween season. Nightshade is a very witchy plant, so I want to create a nightshade inspired witch character named Lucinda. So yeah, I had so much fun doing the first video in this series. Now I'm bringing it back for another one, and it's going to be witchy and Halloweeny on top of it, so I'm really excited. This is gonna be a really fun one. This video is also being kindly sponsored by Prestigify Art Supplies. Thank you so much, Prestigify, for sponsoring the channel yet again. I love my sponsors. They help me create these videos easier, and I genuinely love their art supplies too. So I will talk more about them later on in the video. Without further ado, let's get started! Woo! It's Halloween! It's Halloween! So of course, the first thing I had to do was sketch out some ideas that I had, and this was actually a little difficult. I had a vague idea of her personality, but I had no idea which direction I wanted to go in terms of actual character design. So I sketched out a few different witches, and with each sketch it kind of got more refined. I started off with a very generic kind of outfit that I usually always do, but I didn't want to do something with long flowy sleeves and a long dress again, so I just kind of played around with different design elements until I got this. Now, the idea I was kind of going for was to personify the nightshade in a very mischievous way. So in my mind, I imagined her being some kind of like alchemy witch. So she harvests her plants and she makes like fun potions and elixirs out of them. But because she's nightshade, she's also very mischievous and a bit of a troublemaker. I didn't want her to look outright evil though, and I didn't want her to look too malevolent. I figured her sister Belladonna, aka Deadly Nightshade, would probably be a bit more nefarious, maybe even a bit vengeful. But I figured that Lucinda, who's not nearly as deadly as Belladonna is, would just be kind of playfully mischievous, so she may, I don't know, slip some kind of herb into someone's drink to make them like have a bit of a tummy ache, but won't actually poison anyone. I figured she would spend her days wandering around the forest, picking herbs to use in her potions, so I wanted to give her kind of like a forest wanderer kind of outfit. This was inspired a lot by Mori Girl fashion, which I am obsessed with lately, and that was just a huge inspiration for her design. Alright, now let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Prestigify. Prestigify kindly sent me this Nomad portable watercolor set, and it's so cool. Let me show you guys. So there are 42 colors in this set, and you may be thinking, what? Where are the colors? Well, I will show you. Oh my gosh! Look how cool this is! These are all little watercolor pans, and they just slide right on out. And that's it. There's also these little swatches down here so you can tell which color is which, and I'm going to swatch some of these colors now. Also included in the Nomad Watercolor Set is this really nice water brush, which I will also be using. Now for this piece I'm going to be using a lot of greens and browns, so I'm going to swatch some of those now. These colors activate pretty much instantly, and they are so beautiful. The pigmentation of these colors are gorgeous, and with 42 colors, you have such a huge range of colors to choose from. I also love how there's a nice range of really bright, vibrant colors like these two, and then more neutral colors like these. Prestigify has sponsored my videos before, and I'm always so pleasantly surprised with their art supplies. Plus, the portability of this set is a really cool feature. One of the things I worry about most when traveling with watercolors is that the colors will open and the colors will spill out all over the place, and sometimes my colors are even still wet. But with this set, you kind of just pack it all up really nice and easy, and even if it is wet, it's not going to like burst open and spill out all over the place because all the colors are contained right here. This set kind of makes me actually go out into the world and paint like plein air style. So this is a really fun and inspiring art supply, and this is what I'm going to be using to finish my illustration off. So thank you again, Prestigify, for being the sponsor for today's video. You can use my coupon code to get a discount on your order should you want to pick this up for yourself. They've also got lots of other beautiful art supplies. I actually played with their sparkly pearlescent watercolor set, and I will link that video up here, so do check that out as well. And yeah, use my coupon code if you'd like to pick one up for yourself, because these are super, super cool. All right, then it was time to move on to actually paint this. Now, this was the first time I used this specific art supply in a full illustration, so there was a bit of a learning curve, but I will get into that. First, what I did was I sketched out the character on the piece of watercolor paper I was going to use. I like sketching directly on the paper because I feel like my illustrations become more loose and less rigid that way. Then when I was happy with the sketch, I went over it with a brown coal erase pencil. You guys know by now I love using coal erase pencils whenever I'm doing any watercolor work because the lines end up being less harsh than if I used like a fine liner or something like that. And with watercolors, I think that's a huge advantage. Then I went in with these paints. I think the most challenging thing for me with these paints was learning how to dilute them into making softer colors. Like I said before, these colors are beautifully pigmented and so bright, which is awesome, but for places like the skin, I wanted something that was less in your face, less vibrant, less bright, something more muted. So what I ended up doing was I watered down the little paint palette, and I would take a little bit of paint onto my paintbrush and then actually kind of wipe it on a separate piece of paper, and then use whatever paint was left to actually paint the skin. And I just kind of played around with that, with like dabbing the colors on and off the paintbrush to get the desired effect, and with a little bit of playing around, I really got it to work for me. Another thing I did was I would put the pure pigment down on a little tiny place where I wanted it. Then I would wet my brush a lot and just drag the color down. And because I'm dragging it down with water, it would dilute it and it was less bright. Something that I really enjoyed doing with these watercolors, and you can see me doing it on the leaves here, is blending them was so easy because I would just dip my paintbrush in one color, place it where I wanted it, and then take a new color and just blend them together. And this was so fun to do, and it was actually quicker than a lot of other watercolor techniques that I've used because you have the paints just right there. I did use a lot of wet on wet too. So in some areas I would wet the entire place down with a color with some water, and then I would just drop a different color into it, and the colors and the water would just kind of like melt together and create some really beautiful textures. I did this a lot in the background, which you will see, but I got some really gorgeous watercolor textures in the background, and it was just really nice to do it with these watercolors. Other than that, the techniques I used were pretty much similar to how I use all watercolors. I did a lot of layering, a lot of placing colors, then letting it dry, then placing more colors on top, kind of how I do every other watercolor painting that I've done. All in all, I am super pleased with how this turned out. I think she looks adorable, and I think she's a good representation of Nightshade. I kind of really want to draw her sister now, Belladonna Deadly Nightshade, so if you guys would like to see that, let me know and I may do that in another video. A print of this artwork is also going to be for sale on my Etsy shop. She's only going to be available during October, so if you would like a print, make sure to check out my Etsy and pick one up for yourself. For finishing touches, I went back with my coal erase colored pencil to deepen some shadows, and I also went in with a jelly roll, of course, to add some highlights. After that, I was done, and I really enjoyed this piece. It was really fun to work on. It was really fun to use a whole brand new art supply like this. I really love these paints, and I'm definitely going to be adding them to my most frequently grabbed art supplies. So thank you again, Prestigify, for sponsoring this video, and make sure to use my coupon code Monique for a discount if you would like to pick up some for yourself. Anyway, that is going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, watching me paint this adorable little Nightshade witch. Stay tuned for more fun Halloween-themed videos. I have so many fun ones planned for this month. I'm so excited about them, and I hope you guys are too. I hope you guys have a beautiful October season, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys!